Reports are beginning to surface that Donovan Mitchell is considering leaving the Jazz. And why would he leave the Jazz? Because he says, allegedly, he is wasting his best season ever because he's getting no notoriety. And one of the indicators of that is that Donovan Mitchell is not currently one of the top vote getters in the NBA Western Conference All-Star selection process. How worried, Jake, should Jazz fans be that Donovan Mitchell's leaving?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there should be some concern. I think, obviously this is a report. It's not like we have a quote from Donovan himself saying, hey, like, I'm considering leaving. But I think when you start to put the pieces together, you should be a little bit concerned. Absolutely. I think Donovan Mitchell is a player that obviously would be coveted by any team in the league. We all know that he's a New York guy. If you follow him on Twitter, he is constantly repping New York, and we see him at Mets games, and so it's a little bit concerning. I think if you're Donovan Mitchell, you clearly want to win championships. You clearly want to go down as one of the best, to ever do it. That's his goal. It's no secret. And right now, that's not happening, and that's what he's upset about. So, would Don leave for the Knicks, or would he leave for the Celtics, or would he leave for any of those
The Nets,
any of those nameplate franchises? Yeah, I think he would, but I think making a deep playoff run may change that. If you're able to get to the Western Conference Finals, if you're able to somehow get to the NBA Finals, that's going to change that. And I think a situation that is and was very comparable to this situation was Devin Booker in Phoenix. And I think, for the longest time, people were saying, oh, Book's going to be a Laker and he's going to leave early and, he's not going to finish out the extension. And then all of a sudden, the Phoenix Suns cleaned house, totally changed the front office and brought in James Jones, brought in Monty Williams, like totally changed the culture. And then you go to the NBA Finals. So, to me, these two situations are very similar in that, you had a guy in Devin Booker who, the rumor mill was that he was looking at leaving for the Lakers because obviously he idolized Kobe. And now all of a sudden, all those rumors have kind of chilled out because they went to the NBA Finals. So with Donovan, I think winning cures this whole thing. I think, if the Jazz are active at the trade deadline and do what they need to do and make moves, and you make a deep playoff run, I think this conversation largely gets put on the back burner. But if you, go out in the first round, yeah, I think this conversation continues. And as a Jazz fan, you should be concerned.
I don't think there's any doubt. Excuse me. I don't think there's any doubt that Jazz fans should be concerned. I mean, this is that narrative. This is that victim mentality. That's not a victim mentality now. And it's not like these are, these rumors are coming from nobody. I mean, these are, guys like Tim McMahon, major NBA guys, are talking about the fact that Donovan Mitchell is disgruntled that he's not getting more notoriety. And he is having a hell of a season. And his frustration is that he allegedly feels like he is wasting his career in Salt Lake City. And those are all things that sting and hurt deep because we love our town. We love this state. We love everything that is, Salt Lake City and Utah. But you begin to understand the challenges that are always talked about when we talk about the Jazz and why it's tough to get free agents to come here, which I agree with. I understand that this is a small market, but I wonder if Donovan Mitchell being a New Yorker, I mean, again, his dad works for the Mets, as Jake talked about. He's a Chris Brickley guy.
Yep.
He works out at Brickley's gym in the offseason. You see that tape. All of that, all that hard work is, coming to fruition because he is having a fantastic year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's a good chance that this happens. I don't know what's enough. And to your point, is winning enough to keep Don here?
I don't know. I mean, I think, winning and accomplishing things in the sport from a team perspective, typically makes players feel better. Like, again, with the Book situation, it seems like ever since they went to the NBA Finals and, were able to land Chris Paul and do all this stuff, that everything's fine now. Book is happy being a Sun. So I think guys, and this isn't just unique to Donovan. I think guys obviously want to win. You look at the Anthony Edwards of the world, look at the John Morants of the world, like these guys that are in Donovan's generation of player that are younger in the league, haven't won yet, but are really at the top of the sport. These guys really want to win. They really want to accomplish a lot in the sport. And so, if you're Donovan Mitchell and you feel like, hey, I'm wasting some of the best seasons of my career here, that's a tough pill to swallow. And I feel like that would go away if the Jazz, they don't even have to win a championship. I just think you have to get to at least the Western Conference Finals, get to somewhere you've never been before. Give Donovan Mitchell a reason to say, yeah, you know what? I could make a great career out of Salt Lake City. That's what I think the real issue is, because it's funny how the conversation goes away when you win, right? When you're losing, it's not fun. When you're having to answer questions about why Terrence Mann hit all those threes in the corner, it's not fun, right? For anybody to answer any of those questions. But when you're winning and Rudy's getting MVP consideration and everything's all fine and dandy, it's funny how we don't hear these rumors anymore. So, I think a valid question would be, well, how much weight do you put on these rumors? Well, I put a decent amount of weight on them because you have guys, again, this was on a podcast. This is in a spoken word format that these guys are talking about Don being a little bit disgruntled with where things are at right now. It's not like they just kind of threw this on the internet and half-assed it, basically.
It's the interwebs, please.
Yeah. I do put some weight behind him. No. Is it fact? No, because Donovan didn't say it. But are these rumors something to be respected and something to be worried about? Yeah, but this isn't
something that just popped up out of nowhere. Let's
it's
be
not,
honest about it.
Yeah, so that's why I say as a Jazz fan, you should be concerned about this.
I think they're real as well. I mean, Tim McMahon is as reliable of an NBA guy as there is in the business. And I think it's not just him. I mean, it's a lot of people. And we talked about this last year.
Yeah.
And it may have been Brickley. It was somebody in that realm was talking about Donovan being a Knick. And I think it's natural. He's from there. The flagship franchise of his childhood in all likelihood.
Knicks, dude.
It's the New York Knicks. And I think there is always a bigger draw, when you are a New Yorker. It's obvious. But I don't think he's in a hurry. I don't think this is happening tomorrow. I will say, if the Jazz don't get this offseason right, I think it accelerates the process of Donovan leaving. Because, and Devin Booker is a very good example. I think that's a very good parallel to draw, because Devin Booker's a guy who wants to win a championship, and he's talked openly about legacy and Kobe Bryant, and all of a sudden Chris Paul shows up, the Suns go to the NBA Finals, and Devin Booker's now one of the elite scorers in the NBA, not by accident.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Suns took action there. I think the Utah Jazz have to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I know that Salt Lake City, you're not going to hit a button or sign a free agent that's going to make this town grow, but there's no reason you cannot develop into a superstar. The Stockton and Malone era showed us that. You can win MVPs. You can be the best in the history of the NBA at your position.
But weren't they saying that about Phoenix before they landed Chris Paul? Wasn't everybody saying, hey, Phoenix is a smaller market? How are they going to go and get free agents? And that's why Book wants to leave?
When we were there, the conversation was that, Robert Sarver's the worst owner in the NBA and arguably in all of professional sports, save Daniel Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
And, that they were never going to win. And, Book loved Kobe and wants to be a Laker. And all of a sudden, they get an arena deal, they get a practice facility, they splash cash, And again, where are they? They're at the top of the Western Conference. Where are Klay Thompson in the Golden State Warriors now? With Klay back, they're at the top of the Western Conference. The Jazz are not. And yes, I understand that the last couple of days, the last week or so, COVID has ravaged this team. But I think at 100%, I don't know that there's anybody arguing that Jazz are going to win a championship this year or anytime soon.
I think the question, though, if you're Donovan, is and this is what I think is so fascinating, because this is not like this will be answered in many different ways depending on who you ask. But is Phoenix a bigger market than Salt Lake?
Yes.
You think definitively, yes, it is?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think you have every major sport is there, whether they're patronized by fans or not.
It's true.
Every major sport is there. You have multiple major college franchises there. I mean, the TV market's bigger, the radio market's bigger. I mean, now Salt Lake City's coming. I mean, the Silicon Slopes are for real.
Yeah, it's no joke.
There is billions of dollars here. See Ryan Smith. But when you talk about bigger markets, athletes want to live and play in Scottsdale. Athletes find Phoenix to be a destination market. You get guys like J.J. Watt that are willing to go play for the Arizona Cardinals. The NBA, Phoenix is now an attractive destination.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the fact they went to the Western Conference Finals, JaVale McGee's an interesting example of this. Chris Paul's an interesting example of this.
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder. But I look at James Harden. Where does James Harden spend his off seasons?
Yeah.
We rented him a house, essentially rented him a house in a neighborhood in Scottsdale where millionaires live so he could have knee surgery and rehab.
Yeah.
And by the way, where did he go to college? ASU. Where did he park his Bentley? Out in front of a restaurant. Like, I'm telling you, Arizona is a much larger market.
So if you're Donovan, then I mean, what do you and this is why I say winning cures, because if you're Donovan Mitchell and you're looking at this whole situation from how your career could either thrive or be hurt, it's like, okay, if I'm going to stay in Salt Lake, I have to win. I have to win, because the truth is, and Damian Lillard's a good example of this. The truth is, you can be, in a smaller market, but damn, you better be like an MVP caliber player. You better be somebody that everybody knows. Like on the East Coast, like globally, like you better have the branding and all that on lock. And it kind of feels like he does, but at the same time, it's like he just hasn't quite hit yet, Like he's got a shoe deal, like he, is at Mets games, like he's around, but he's not on like Dame's level of popularity. So it's kind of this interesting conundrum, and that's why I say if you go to the NBA Finals, that changes everything for you as a player. And that's what I think it would take to keep Don happier, to rejuvenate him.
I think whether it's the finals or something else, Donovan Mitchell has to have an opportunity to write a legacy. And I think it matters to players now. And this goes back to LeBron starting super teams or Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. Guys want legacies. Guys want to win. And the only way you get a legacy in this business is to win rings. And to this point, and again, this is why I've talked so openly about Danny Ainge being a guy that's not going to do business the way the Jazz have always done business. Guys want to know that they play for an organization that's going to go out and get the job done, that's going to go out and make trades, that's going to improve the roster, that's going to grow their opportunity to write a legacy. And right now, and I'm saying right now because the Jazz haven't done anything, right now on Monday, January 10th at 6:45 in the morning, what have the Utah Jazz done that's going to show Donovan Mitchell he can write a legacy here?
What does that mean for a player? What do you think writing a legacy looks like? Does that just mean like a historic playoff career? Does that mean like, just big moments?
Well, I think in the grand scale of things, multiple championships. Because winning one NBA championship is not a legacy. And I look at the greatest players who've ever played it, whether it's Jordan, whoever. Look at what LeBron James is doing. LeBron James is breaking records, it seems like, on a nightly basis. Or if you look at Steph Curry, or if you look at the Splash Brothers, look at the notoriety that's around Klay Thompson returning. The game was January 9th of 2022, and everybody was watching it.
Yeah.
Because it's Golden State. It's Steph and Klay, the Splash Brothers. Why do you think Draymond Green wanted to start that game even though he was hurt? Draymond Green started the game last night. He was injured in pregame warmups, pulled a calf muscle. They committed a foul right out of the gate. The game was so important that Draymond Green wanted his name in the box score as a starter.
Yeah.
That's a legacy. The Splash Brothers, the Golden State Warriors, that's a legacy.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's one of the best players ever at his position. That's a legacy. Donovan Mitchell is an afterthought. And that's not a legacy. It's difficult if you're Donovan Mitchell to be having the year he's having, and he is having a year. Why do you think he was so pissed last fall or last spring, summer, when they kept him out of game one of that Memphis series? He was livid.
Yeah.
Because it's the playoffs. And legacies are written in the postseason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what he's after. He's having a career year, and nobody's talking about Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Nobody.
And he's pissed about it.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And he should be pissed about it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you start looking around, Tim McMahon, on this Brian Windhorst Hoops Collective, said there is, and I'm going to say it, at least speculation around the NBA that market size might matter to Donovan Mitchell. And I agree with that. And this is the problem being because if you look at the smaller market teams in this league, Memphis, but look at Ja Morant last night. Ja Morant got major run last night as a Memphis Grizzly because of his play. Right now, he did it at Crypto.com, Staples Center Arena.
It's the Staples Center. It's always going to be,
But Ja Morant's getting major run. Why has Donovan Mitchell ever gotten the run that Ja Morant got last night?
I can't say that I remember him ever getting that.
I think if you're a Utah Jazz fan, this is your worst nightmare. This is your worst nightmare.
So if you're the front office, I mean, what do you do? Because I think this side of the conversation is really interesting too. So let's suppose that Don is a little bit disgruntled right now, and he's a little frustrated, and he's considering his options, and basically he's doing everything you would never want him to do if you're in the front office of this organization. So here's the conundrum, and this is the conversation that you're all familiar with. Hey, we're paying $27 million in luxury tax. We don't have the assets to go and blow this team up and make a contender right this second, right now. A championship contender. Yeah, you're a postseason team, so from that standpoint, you're a contender. But I'm talking about a championship difference-making to Donovan Mitchell level team. So if you're the front office, I mean, what do you do? Well, I think you have to have conversations with Donovan Mitchell and make sure he's on the same page with you about what the plan is. Because I think for players, that's the other side that's really important. Okay, if we're not going to win this year, what is the plan for us to win? What are we talking about? Because let's not forget where Don's at in this contract. This is the first year of, a 5-year extension, I believe? So it's not like he's at, it's not like next year's the last year of this deal. He's committed to this team. Now, all of that to say, NBA players can get out of contracts no problem, right? We've seen it a bazillion times before. But I'm just saying, he signed that extension. So when he signed that extension, he was happy with it. Just the same way Devin Booker was happy with the team when he signed his extension. So that's why I say there's going to be conversations.
But how is Rudy Gobert making significantly more money than Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I mean, I think Rudy's making $36 million this year, $35 million. Donovan's making 28. I mean, he's going to make $40 million more than Rudy Gobert is going to make $40 million more than Donovan Mitchell over the life of this deal.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and say the money doesn't matter. It matters. We can sit here and say, oh, well, Rudy Gobert's up for MVP. I'll just simply ask Jazz fans, who would you rather have, Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell? Mm-hmm. I'm taking Donovan Mitchell every day. Every single day.
Yeah, dude.
I'm taking Donovan Mitchell.
And I think Jazz fans and the people who listen to the show consistently would agree. I just think that they would.
Frank H. says, sick of all this Mitchell wants to leave crap. If he's not all in, let's get someone who is. But see, that's what Jazz, to me, this is where I just disagree with you. The Utah Jazz have not done, to this point, anything to support Donovan Mitchell wanting to win a championship. Not a thing. Think about that. What if the Utah Jazz done? The biggest move probably is the Rudy Gobert contract. And I don't know that there's anybody who thinks that's a great contract. I don't even think Jazz fans think Rudy's contract is a great contract.
Yeah.
The Jazz have, and I think they're going to, don't get me wrong. But if you're Donovan Mitchell, wouldn't you be looking to leave at some point? if you're not going to win a championship here, what are you doing here?
Yeah, what are you playing for?
Why are
That's
you
the
here?
question.
Rudy Gobert's here because he's getting $40 million a year on average. So you understand why Rudy's here. But a guy like Donovan Mitchell is, in my opinion, about far more than money.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like that want to win.
Yeah.
Guys like that don't want to just be an afterthought. If Donovan Mitchell stays in Utah for 15 years and never wins a championship, makes, let's say he makes $300 million. What does that mean to him? What does that mean to him?
It's a great question.
I don't think it means that much to him. He'll live well, but there's always going to be something eating at Donovan Mitchell if 15 years from now he doesn't win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself that question. And then ask yourself if he really is just a jerk who's chasing rings. Because I don't think that's it at all. I really don't. Snuka says, good morning. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. The Blind Sportsman says, I knew y'all were going to talk about this fetch Windhorst, or however you spell his name. But why now is Brian Windhorst some kind of criminal or like a shady character?
Why is it that we have to be in denial about these kind of stories? Why is that the instant reaction?
Because now it's out there.
Why is it that it's either, oh, the story's not true, or, okay, well, if it is true, then get his ass out of here. We don't want Donovan Mitchell. Like, how about we talk about doing something that would keep him here? Why that? And this is what's always fascinated me, about Jazz fans. Like, why? I guess that mentality I just don't subscribe to. I'm more the guy who says, hey, like, okay, yeah, it's understandable why Don would feel the way that Don does. I get it. You want to win. I understand it. So what are we going to do about it?
But this is the perpetual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is why ripping Kevin Durant for going to Golden State is something I've always had a problem with. Was he ring chasing? Yes, he was. Is that wrong? No, it's not. Guys don't play the game for money. When you make as much money as these guys make,
yeah,
at some point the money becomes muted.
Yeah.
They're in a circle where they're hanging out with guys who are 100 millionaires. Do you think LeBron James gives a damn about his paycheck? On some level, of course he does. But if you said to him, what's more important? $40 million a year, you're 58 years old, $40 million a year, or look back on your contract, or look back on your career and you won 7, 8, 10 rings. Because that's what LeBron should have won, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what all he cares about. All LeBron James cares about is this guy right here.
Yeah.
And he'll never be as good as Jordan. And that'll always be a debate. I look at guys like Donovan Mitchell. They have to win multiple rings or it's just not good enough.
Yes.
That's what like, why do you think Kevin Durant and James Harden and Kyrie Irving wanted to play together?
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to win multiple rings.
It's not that hard to understand.
And they shouldn't be vilified for it. Now, if you want to talk about Karl Malone selling out and going to the Lakers, he's a shitbag anyways. Do it. Because I can't. Karl Malone going to the Lakers was a travesty. You want to vilify Gordon Hayward for going to Boston? You don't get it. You don't get it. Because Gordon Hayward, now, granted, he snapped a twig and still hasn't won, and he ain't close to winning.
Yeah.
But Gordon Hayward was completely justified in going where he went and doing what he did. He's not a villain. He's not a bad guy. He shouldn't be booed every time he comes back here. And if Don leaves, he shouldn't be booed every time he comes back here.
But he will be.
He will be.
He will be.
Yeah, he will be. Bryce Jensen says it's LeBron picking Gobert and Donovan last in the All-Star game. Nobody in the league gives an F about Utah. Ainge is the only person that will keep Don in Utah. The days of Stockton to Malone are over.
Yeah, and so that's my point. Like, I think, so if that's true, if that's how Jazz fans feel, then how are you vilifying Donovan Mitchell for having some feelings about wanting to play for the Knicks or, whatever franchise it is that he, wants to play for in his heart? I understand where Donovan Mitchell is coming from. My problem here is not with Donovan Mitchell.
No.
My problem here is with the front office. And frankly, I've been happy with what they've done so far, like picking up Danny Ainge and, the Jared Butler draft pick. Like, you've done some nice things here.
Jared Butler's on the Jazz?
Apparently.
Are you sure?
Yeah, apparently. I wasn't sure he was going to get minutes against the Raptors, but they made it happen.
We got to talk about Elijah Hughes in a minute. Daniel Westover says, will Donovan be as good elsewhere where a team doesn't revolve around him? This team does not revolve around Donovan Mitchell. It doesn't. And this is such a big conversation. Think about it this way. Look at LeBron. Who are the best players in the league? Look at LeBron James. Look at Steph Curry. The Warriors revolve around Steph Curry. The Lakers revolve around LeBron James. When they win, it's because of LeBron and Steph Curry. When they lose, it's because of Russell Westbrook and somebody else. When the Utah Jazz win, it's not usually about Donovan Mitchell. It's not. And if you look at, these losses the last couple of days, their defense. This Utah Jazz team is built around a really mediocre roster that is not very athletic, right? If you are telling me that, look at the Phoenix Suns. Who are the Phoenix Suns built around? They're built around a bunch of dudes. Devin Booker's not a superstar in this league because his roster is built around a bunch of dudes. If you look at the Jazz, this roster is built around a bunch of dudes. And unfortunately, they're not very good dudes at defending. This team is not catering to Donovan Mitchell. They're not. I think they should be. Honest to God, I would sell everybody except Donovan Mitchell. I don't know how many more times on the show I can say it. Mm-hmm. The only guy in this roster that should be untouchable is Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm. By the way, why do you think that Donovan Mitchell doesn't like to pass? Doesn't like to give the ball
Why
up?
do you think he does not pass ever to Rudy Gobert?
You ever notice that when you watch Jazz games?
Ever.
Never passes it to Rudy.
Never.
Very rarely passes it to the corner, right? He's trying to go and get his. And I don't have an issue with that. But I think what would change that is if you got a better supporting cast. But again, then we go right back to, hey, this is Utah, can't go and get big free agents. So are we really going to sit here and vilify Donovan Mitchell?
And as far as regretting leaving, Donovan Mitchell is, I don't know, I probably think too much of Donovan. I think Donovan's a generational talent. I think he's a guy that if he was on a Brooklyn Nets team that spends outrageous amounts of money, if he was surrounded by another athletic wing player if he had another running mate, if he had another superstar on his team, I mean, can you imagine LeBron James and Donovan Mitchell playing together? LeBron James driving and kicking to Donovan in the corner? I mean, how many championships would they win? I just look at Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion, cannot be a guy that you hand the ball to in the backcourt and say, bring it up and score me a basket. That's just not his game. But if you want to facilitate to get him a shot, he's going to beat you every time. Look at how much his range has expanded just in the last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is logo Don. Like that guy, he has got incredible range.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's not just another guy. Gordon Hayward is just a guy. He's a Jag. He's just a guy, right? Donovan Mitchell's a generational talent who can go anywhere and be the best player on the team. And it's not questioned. If he were a Laker, I'm telling you, they would win championships. Yeah. If they had,
and Don knows that.
And furthermore, if it was Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, they'd win championships. I would put, and we probably should have this conversation at some point, but I value Donovan I value him very highly. Mm-hmm. I do. He's an unselfish player, in my opinion, when he has other guys that he believes in. And I think that's another huge part of this conversation. I don't believe that Donovan believes in most of his teammates. I don't. I don't think he gives the ball up and believes it's going to go in. It's LeBron James. Why does LeBron not like to kick? Because I don't think he believes the ball's going in the hole if it's not in his hands.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty simple.
And this, again, when we talk about where the Jazz are, that's why it's moronic to talk about, well, should we? We can't trade Joey Ingles. What the fuck? Yes, you can. And you should. You should.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
Are we talking about keeping Are we talking about keeping Joe Ingles on the team for 3 extra months or Donovan Mitchell for 5 extra years? Which one do you want? Right? Like, do you want to keep Bojan Bogdanovic on the team for another year, maybe? Or Donovan on the team for another 5 to 7?
Sorry, folks, that's what it is.
You can't look at, oh, but Joe Ingles is such a nice guy. That's cool. He is. He's a great teammate and he served you well. Thank you. We'll carry your bags to the Uber for you. Actually, we'll drive you to the airport. Right? I'm sorry, but business is business.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
Right? This is
what it is.
This is the Quinn Snyder conversation, and this is the BYU Kalani Sitake conversation. At what point are we going to do what's got to be done to win a championship? Yeah. Let's stop screwing around and being loyal to guys that are just the same old nice guys we've always had. That's so cool and neat. But I want killers. I want to win a championship.
Yeah.
I want to see the Utah Jazz win a championship. It's time to stop being nice. It's time to start kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, and I hope that's what Danny Ainge brings in. You know, I hope that Danny Ainge brings in that mentality. I really do.
Anyway. All right. Gavin Vega. Don, I hear, just wants to play for a market that gets him notoriety and at least one ring. If Ryan Smith can continue to do what he's doing, I'm not worried unless we flop the roster incoming shakeup. I just want the Jazz to bring in a Brandon Ingram or a Dylan Brooks.
Yeah. I mean, I think, bringing in talent that can help him.
Dude, this cough is killing me. I don't know what I don't.
My bad. Sorry.
Or a Dylan Brooks type player to play with Don rather than this spot up wings. I'm telling you now that Donovan Mitchell is completely justified in this conversation about him leaving.
Yeah.
He is. I want this team to win. I'm tired of the and I'm trying not to lump everybody in.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it's Georgia Southern, we have to be nice. Well, they punched you in the face and ripped your helmet off. But they're good men who are just, playing. No.
Sportsmanship matters.
No, it doesn't. Well, it does, but no, it doesn't. This is such Utah is such a genuinely different place. It is special and unique. I've lived everywhere. I chose to come back to Utah. The problem, though, is that we make heroes out of Royce O'Neal. And, oh, man, it's Buckets O'Neal. And Royce O'Neal's an below average NBA player. That's it.
Yeah.
Joe Ingles right now is barely serviceable. If he is on any other roster of a contender, he's probably not getting 5 minutes a night. That's just who Joe Ingles is right now, right? Bojan Bogdanovic should not be your second best offensive option, with all due respect.
Yeah.
To Bojan Bogdanovic.
Bojan.
He can't be your second best option.
And think you're going to win a championship.
You can't spend the luxury tax on Mike Conley, who's going to be injured. You can't do that. You can't. You just simply can't. On a night you needed him in Toronto, he's resting for his knee. Like, it drives me crazy the way that we as Utahns look at athletes in this town. And we can't dare question Jaren Hall, and we can't dare question. Yeah, we can. And yes, you should. Yes, you should. It doesn't make you a sinner. It doesn't make you a bad person. You don't need to put a little extra in the envelope this week because I questioned Jaren Hall.
God bless.
All right, I feel better.
Do you?
No. Neville 93 says it was nice in Park City yesterday. Anyway, I heard a rumor that Joey was getting traded to the Boston Celtics, including Jared Butler, and we're going to get Dennis Schroeder.
You're so fucked.
Dennis Schroeder?
No, I thought you said I'm sorry. I
Dennis
thought you
Schroeder's
said
what-
Dennis Schroeder. And you wait. No, what? You meant and this is supposed to be an upgrade?
Like what?
Dennis,
Bro, what are you talking about,
who
man?
turned down $82 million and then got the vet minimum?
What an idiot!
Wait, what?
He's a bum.
Neville, did you hit your head yesterday? That kid's a stud. No, he's not. Dennis Schroeder sucks. They're not trading for Dennis Schroeder. You're not taking an expiring contract and a prize rookie and trading him for Dennis Schroeder.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Man, when you pull the car in the garage, turn it off before you close the door. I'm telling you. Bryce Jensen says, thanks, Monty. Tired of loyalty complex in Utah. It's like Jazz fans can't drop an old girlfriend. It's dumb. Totally. Utah is such a feel-good sports town who wants to have a Cinderella story and will praise their players and in the same breath rip your head off in church ball. It's the nicest toxic fan base.
I really don't care if you think it's sus.
That's such a great point.
That is very true. They will break your legs playing church ball.
Yeah.
But don't you say anything about Jaren Hall. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's very true about the fan base.
By the way,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
are the Warriors now the best team in the NBA?
Yeah.
Klay Thompson dunked on Bros last night.
Yeah, it was great. But it was the Cavs. Come on.
The Cavs are one of the better teams in the East right now.
Yeah, it's the Cavs. That's a team they should beat every night.
Well, yeah, that's a team they should beat, but
I know. He posterized somebody. It was awesome. I watched it. I know.
Okay, so are your Warriors the best team in the NBA?
I'm not ready to say that yet.
Okay, who's the best team in the NBA?
The Nets.
The Nets are not the best team in the
Okay.
Look. The Milwaukee
Kyrie Irving Nets are the best team in the NBA, dude.
the Milwaukee Bucks.
No.
But the Nets can't see. They're not the same team 2 nights in a row.
That might be true.
I mean, that team's wildly
Neither are the
inconsistent.
Jazz. Neither are the
Well,
Warriors.
But the Jazz are not one of the better teams in the NBA right now, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. What are they, 3rd or 4th seed right now?
I'm telling you right now. And people got all pissed. I said it the other day. I don't think the Jazz beat Memphis in a 7-game series this year.
Yeah, this Memphis team right now is really good. Really, really good.
There is the Western Conference right now is as deep as I think I've ever seen a conference in my life in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, you can lose every single night in the NBA, in the Western Conference specifically. If you look at Golden State, Phoenix, Memphis, the Jazz can beat you on any night.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, when they don't have 9 guys in COVID. How about that? How about the fact that the Jazz, everybody's like, oh, we're special. We're in a latex bubble here in the valley.
I started having second thoughts.
The inversion layer protects us from COVID. Now you got like 9 guys in protocol.
The coronavirus.
My guy Elijah Hughes.
Lit it up, dude.
Will somebody give me
Lit it
credit?
up.
Will somebody,
Yes.
anybody,
Yes.
somebody give me credit for Elijah Hughes?
Yes, you said that he was going to be awesome, and he was awesome
How come he doesn't play more?
because Quinn hates young guys.
And I'm just asking about Eric Pascal. Because homie with that dump truck ass can really play. I mean, my guy, Eric Pascal, looked really good. So that's the play-by-play guy for the Charlotte Hornets. And Jake loves that dude. That kid's a stud. Jake loves that dude. So the other night, the Hornets had a bunch of like highlight reel plays.
Yeah.
And I started tagging Jake on Twitter. And that's an alley-oop from Scary Terry to Kelly Oubre.
Mm-hmm.
And he does not call the alley-oop. He just yells. Ah! That's funny.
Yeah.
Look at the Dallas Mavericks beating the Chicago Beloveds last night.
Yeah. Screw Luka.
I hate Luka Doncic. Is he not one of
He
the
is
most
such a douche.
unlikable guys in all of sports?
Yeah, he's a douche.
He's a bum.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Well,
Aaron.
him and
He's a
Aaron
bum.
Rodgers.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, nobody likes Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, come on.
But I think it's in the NBA Western Conference right now is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
there's- and again, this is why the trade deadline is so important because a lot of these teams are going to get better.
I would agree with that. eBay the Sofa Surfer, good morning. Says Mitchell is never leaving. The great ones don't. They build legacies. That's Spida. It is way too early to be drinking. eBay. Way, way too early. Gavin Vega says, hey, Monty, I just wanted to ask real quickly, with both of us being Bears fans, Chris Karn brought up the Bears earlier, and I did not read his comment. And now, Vega, you come in here, and you start talking about the Chicago Bears. No.
Okay. So that's how it's going to be.
I'm not doing it. Kenny says, yes! Jeremy Bolton says, morning, gents. Jeremy Bolton saw Gunther.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Gunther sighting, yes.
Yes, the Gunther sighting.
Yes.
Which is crazy. It's crazy. Kenny says, hey, look, Mitchell is leaving if we don't do the crap that needs to, but I'm sure you said that 30 minutes ago. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
If Spider had doubts, he would not have signed that 5-year max. No, that's completely not true, eBay.
Yeah.
You don't sign a 5-year max to commit to the team and the organization, and I love this community. You sign a 5-year max to A, get paid, and B, if you need to pull the ripcord, you've got a deal that's very tradable.
Do you want to set up the meeting?
I mean, it's not his 5-year contract. Like Rudy Gobert's contract is untradeable.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, one of the best 2 guards in the NBA.
Yeah.
You can trade that contract
All day long.
all day long.
Yep.
All day long. Lillard ain't leaving. Beal ain't leaving. Mitchell ain't leaving. I don't know what you want to bet. I mean, if Donovan Mitchell leaves Salt Lake City, you have to become eBay the love seat surfer. Jeremy Bolton says Gunther is alive. I didn't know what to say when he walked out of the back room. Dude was really nice and helped me out tons.
There you go.
Jeremy Bolton saw Gunther, apparently Kyle Gunther. Not apparently, because I believe Jeremy Bolton.
Yeah,
Although,
sources are good on this one.
would have been nice to see a picture. But Jeremy Bolton saw Kyle Gunther at Salty Peaks. Apparently, Kyle Gunther works at Salty Peaks. And helped Jeremy Bolton get into a T-Rice Pro, a snowboard, and some Burton Cartel bindings.
There you go.
Which I'm like, hey, man. Yep.
Good setup.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And Jeremy, I got to tell you, I rode my T-Rice Pro all weekend, and it was glorious until I fell off the lift and almost broke my leg. But other than that, I mean,
He's a bum.
I can narpow shred, bruh, and I can really snowboard. I don't know what it's been this year. I have fallen off the lift 100 times. And now my right knee has all kinds of different color swatches.
So you and
attached.
Mike Conley can hang out on the bench, huh?
Good Lord. Truth. eBay the Sofa Server says, I know him, right? Need proof? Go to my eBay store. See those game-worn Louisville Cardinal jerseys and Jazz. I didn't get those because I just am a fan. Donovan ain't forcing his way out. I don't think anybody said he's forcing his way out. And I don't think he's leaving tomorrow. But if you think he's going to sit here and not win championships and not become an all-star.
2 seasons from now, if you haven't won a championship, you think he's not leaving?
Listen, I think it is very clear. Let's just set the record straight. Danny Ainge is going to completely turn this roster over. And my belief is Donovan Mitchell's the only one that's going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
That's my feeling. I don't think, and maybe I overvalue Danny Ainge. He's made some awesome trades and he's made a bag load of bad trades, but he's built a roster in a place like Boston by trading for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and
He's got the balls to make the big trade.
right. He had Paul Pierce, Donovan Mitchell, and he went out and got Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and Rajon Rondo, and Danny Ainge is not coming here. Oh, because Joe Ingles is such a good story, and let's put some shrimp on the Barbie, mate. He's going to trade Joe Ingles.
I'm for real.
As we told you last summer, they're going to trade Joe Ingles. They're going to trade Bojan Bogdanovic. Royce O'Neal and the rest of the bum squad is not going to be here. These guys are average players.
He's a bum.
Donovan Mitchell is going to be the one guy left standing, in my opinion. Now, having said that, if they don't win a championship, I don't think he stays here. Because we can sit here and eBay, if you know Donovan, I'm telling you now, the idea that he's not leaving ever is just not true. If they don't win championships, Donovan Mitchell won't be here.
Yeah.
And if he continues to be largely irrelevant in the NBA, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, Donovan Mitchell's irrelevant in the NBA. I mean, I think there are a large swath of NBA fans who don't know Donovan Mitchell.
John Morant's more relevant than Donovan Mitchell.
I think Donovan Mitchell could walk down the street in Oklahoma City, and I don't know that anybody would say two words to him. In New York. And I think he could walk down the street in Chicago. And I don't know how many people would be like, hey, is that Donovan Mitchell? I don't know how many people would do that. In Salt Lake City, Donovan Mitchell would get mobbed walking down the street. Do you want to be mobbed in Salt Lake City or Chicago, New York, LA, Philly? If Donovan Mitchell walked down the street in LA, would anybody know who he is?
Yeah, you can't definitively say yes.
If John Morant walked down the street in LA, would anybody know who he is?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think they would. Donovan Mitchell's, and it's not because he's not talented. It's not because he's not elite. Donovan Mitchell's a Salt Lake City guy. He's a Utah Jazz man. And he's getting ignored. You really don't think that Donovan Mitchell should have garnered more votes in the NBA All-Star game? Like, how's that possible? He has a fantastic shoe that does not sell. He's like, look at Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is an elite defensive player. Is Rudy Gobert a blip on most NBA people's radars? He's not. He's not. Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Ingles, Mike Conley. I'm just telling you now. We can sit here and he's not leaving. If you don't build a championship team, and if he's not in a position to win multiple rings, he's not going to be here.
It's just business, man. We've seen it time and time again, dude. It's just business.
You don't live in New York. Your dad works for the Mets. You're a Brickley guy. Like, I don't know how much clearer it is. Even Brickley guys, like, there's this narrative that Brickley guys only want to win championships and they leave teams. And okay, cool, that might be true, but guess what? They go and win championships.
Why is it such a bad thing?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, think about that.
I don't know.
Oh, well, Brickley guys only leave to go and win championships, as opposed to leaving to be the last team in the league.
As opposed, if Donovan, let me ask you this: if Donovan stays in Utah for again the next 15 years and does not win a championship, is he a Hall of Famer?
That is a great question. Could he get it? Could he get into the Hall of Fame on stats alone? It's a great question.
If he doesn't win a
Damian Lillard a
championship.
Hall of Famer?
I don't know. That's a good question. Donovan hasn't won an Olympic medal, I don't believe.
Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely is. By the way, if Donovan Mitchell stays in Salt Lake City as a member of the Jazz and never wins a championship, think about what he's giving up. Will he ever win an MVP here? Probably not. Rudy Gobert is higher on the MVP ladder than Donovan Mitchell is, by far, a lot.
How the hell is that even possible? How's that possible?
Who's more, and again, this is what I asked earlier. Who's more important to the Jazz? Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert? I'm telling you, it's Donovan Mitchell. It's not close, by far. Donovan Mitchell is far more valuable to the Utah Jazz than Rudy Gobert is.
Yeah.
Far more valuable.
Yeah.
but it is what it is, I guess. You know, like I think when I look back on the history, excuse me, on the history of this franchise, arguably the most important player ever to this franchise is probably John Stockton. I look at Stockton to Malone. I think Stockton happens without Malone. I don't think Malone happens without Stockton. And I just personally hate Karl Malone. I think he's a terrible human being. But he did win an MVP here. And why did they win MVPs? And why are they Hall of Famers? Because they played in important games. Has Donovan Mitchell played in an important game yet?
Who's going to be Donovan Mitchell's Michael Jordan?
It's an interesting question. He needs a running mate. I mean, it can happen. You can be a Hall of Famer in Utah. That's no without question.
Because I'm telling you right now, if this team, if Danny Ainge is unable to find, Donovan Mitchell's Karl Malone, if you will, Donovan Mitchell's true running mate, because Mike Conley ain't it. I like Mike. I like his career. Mike Conley's not good enough to do what they need to get done. So my question is, okay, if you're unable to get, the second star to come to this team, who's the buzzsaw that Don's going to run into every year that was, John Stockton's Michael Jordan?
It's a great question.
And I only ask that question because how many buzzsaws are in the Western Conference? There's a bazillion of them.
And you've run into Denver. You've run into the Clippers now.
You ran into the Grizzlies. You won that series, but you ran into them. You struggled a little bit.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It has happened. It has happened. It has happened.
Matt Nagy has been fired by the Chicago Bears.
Yes! Free Bears fans.
I am erect.
Let's go.
Yes! Goodbye, Matt Nagy. Now, hold the door for Ryan Pace and Ted Phillips. Now,
I'll drop that motherfucker.
Ted Phillips ain't going to get fired. He makes too much money for the trust, let's be honest. But hopefully Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are out the door.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
See you later, Skippy.
Come on, let's go, Schlep Rock. That's it, Skippy.
Matt Nagy's out.
Let's go.
Anyway, I think that's an interesting question. Here's an interesting question. What's going to keep Donovan Mitchell from winning a championship? The Utah Jazz or somebody else?
Yes.
Could be. I think if Donovan Mitchell wants to win a championship, he likely is going to have to do it on his own. He's going to have to be the best player on the team. And right now, I just don't.
Everybody else in the Western Conference has somebody.
No, I haven't always hated the Jazz.
We don't hate the Jazz now.
Well, and the issue, this comes up, and your comment got filtered because you're F-bombing, but his point is that I have always said that the Jazz are not a good team. I've never said the Jazz are not a good team. I have not said that. What I said is they're not a championship team. And this goes back to if you're just popping on the show today, we've been talking about the rumors that Donovan Mitchell is leaving the Jazz or considering playing in a larger market so he has a chance to win a championship and become a notable NBA player.
Build a legacy.
And I just don't know how many other ways I can say this. Guys like Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, you want them to be killers. And you want them to only play the game to win championships. Because if they do that, the hundreds of millions of dollars are going to be there. But guys like Rudy Gobert are not championship quality players because he's one-dimensional and he isn't mean. He is soft. A guy like Donovan Mitchell wants to be a killer. He just doesn't have the opportunity. And when I look at this Jazz team, if you want Donovan Mitchell to be here for his entire career, stop being emotional. Can you be part of a process and be invested in a process and see a result and not become emotionally unglued and derail yourself from the process? And I ask you that because, simply put, do you want to win a championship or not? Okay,
I want to win a championship.
But you haven't the last 2 years, and you've had the exact same roster for 2 years. So you want to be emotionally invested in this roster and talk about, Bogey and Jingles and Mike.
Because it's garbage.
they're not championship players, man.
And they've shown you that repeatedly.
And if you look at the Suns, and if you look at the Warriors, and if you look at the Lakers, and if you look at every other best team in the league, they don't sit tight when they lose. They don't keep the same core together.
Bro, the Lakers are talking about trading Russell Westbrook.
Who they've had for 15 minutes.
Because it's not good enough.
Because he airballed a bank shot last night.
And he's done that repeatedly. And he turns the ball over. And the mix is not good enough.
But my point is, you can't be emotionally attached to a roster because that's not how you win championships. You have to be the exact opposite. You have to be emotionally unattached.
How have the New England Patriots built that dynasty that they built? They cut guys that everyone was like, how are you cutting that guy? And then what did those guys go and do? Absolutely nothing. And that's my point with this roster. You have to do the same thing, whether it's trades or cuts or whatever. You have to change this roster to get to the next step. Because right now, the truth of the matter is you're a one-and-done team. You are win one series, lose the next series. That's where you've been. And I know that sucks. I know, I would love to be able to come on this show and say, yep, you've got an NBA Finals contender on your hands, people. You're going to the NBA Finals this year. You're going to be the best team in the Western Conference, and then you're going to go and win the tournament, and you're going to get to the NBA Finals. But we can't say that.
eBay says, Wade came to the Jazz because he wants his name in the spotlight and feels Donovan could give him the best chance over the next decade. Here's why you're wrong about that. I know for a fact the conversation that he's had, Dwayne Wade. He wants two things. He wants to learn and understand technology and Silicon Valley. Him and Ryan Smith had a relationship. So, one, that's why he came. Two, he wants to own the Miami Heat when that opportunity presents itself. And so he became a minority owner of the Heat, of the Jazz. And when the Heat are divested by their current owner, who he and Dwayne Wade are very close, the thought process is that Dwayne Wade's going to buy the Heat. And so, one, I think it's great that he has, now an ownership in the Real Salt Lake and the Jazz. But Dwayne Wade's not here to have his name in the spotlight.
Why would he come to Salt Lake to do that?
He could have been a minority owner with the Miami Heat. He easily could have. He was offered a piece of the Chicago Bulls. He went to the situation that facilitated his long-term vision. So, eBay, look, dude, I like you. With all due respect, if you believe that Donovan Mitchell is not ever going to leave, you're crazy. And if you think that Dwayne Wade is here because Donovan Mitchell's here, you don't know why Dwayne Wade's here. I mean, this is not even a secret.
Yeah.
This is not even a secret why Dwayne is here. It's not at all. He also says Lillard is easily a Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame, yes. Basketball Hall of Fame, probably. Is Damian Lillard one of the best ever? Does he have a legacy? No, he does not. And if he stays in Portland, Portland's not going to win a championship anytime soon.
Yeah.
They're not. But what's different? What's the difference between Portland and Salt Lake City? You have a billionaire owner now who's not going to do things the way that they've always been done. That's the bottom line. Danny Ainge is not here to do things the way that Dennis Lindsay's always done them.
You think Danny Ainge just showed up so they could have coffee together in the office?
No.
Danny Ainge is here to blow this thing up, dude. Danny Ainge is here to make an NBA Finals contender.
Jeremy Bolton says Malone won an MVP over Jordan. Not saying Donnie is Malone, but it can be done. Yeah, you can. That's why I said, but how do you win MVPs? MVPs are not won in your current season, right? MVPs are won collectively with momentum. And then that next season, generally, hey, if you toe the rope and stay par, you're going to win the MVP. That's how but to do that, Donovan Mitchell's got to play for a championship. There's no way that he ever, if he is in Salt Lake City and wins an MVP, they will have had to have made an MVP NBA Finals appearance. They will have. I mean, I just don't know how else you do that. Jokic to me is an outlier. I mean, I look at Giannis. I just think Giannis was so unbelievably dominant. I think Jokic is the outlier. I mean, I look at Karl Malone's performance. He was so dominant. And he had such a great facilitator in stock. And I think it's very difficult to do. I do. If Mitchell never wins a chip and stays, he's going to be our version of Dirk. He would get a statue, etc. Dirk's got a championship.
Yeah, Dirk's got one of the best championships ever. One of the most clutch, one of the most impressive championships ever.
Yeah. Comment dump. Gavin Vegas says, how am I crazy? If you watch Fox Sports or ESPN, Don gets maybe 30 seconds when players like RJ Barrett get a whole segment. Look at Klay Thompson last night.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild, dude. Like, I mean, seriously, Don's having one of the best seasons he's ever had. Don's making plays, he's doing things, and he doesn't get that run.
Gavin says Donovan is our first or second best shooting guard. Is the first or best second shooting guard in the league, and he's talked about less than RJ Barrett. Let that sink in. I do think Don is wildly underrated.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at
Donovan Mitchell or Jason Tatum, because this is the conversation. This is where everyone goes.
I'm probably going Donovan Mitchell. It's
tough.
close.
It's really close, right?
It's close. But again, what do we always talk about on this show? Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell? I think Devin Booker's gone to another level this year. He's gone to another. He's shooting 43% from three.
And that rise started in the bubble when he hit that shot over the Clippers.
Yeah, I'm telling. Like that's where Donovan Mitchell is going. Like, look at his. I don't think people understand the year that Donovan Mitchell's having, even with this back injury and whatever. Donovan Mitchell's playing incredible basketball. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
He is playing. He has risen his game. He has grown his game. He now needs to play in important moments. Why did Devin Booker spend every offseason moment he had shooting threes, working on, one bounce threes? And well, because he got embarrassed in the NBA playoffs last year.
Yeah.
He got embarrassed in the Western Conference Finals. He got embarrassed in the NBA Finals. Didn't have a very good Olympic tournament. Took a week off and then went right back to the lab. And now look at him. He is now. Book has always been a spot up 3-point shooter. Not anymore. He is now a pull up 3-point machine. And if you look at him, those one bounce 3-pointers he's making, that's why he's gone to another level. Donovan Mitchell is going in that direction. There are not many two guards in this league that I would take. Now, if Klay Thompson's going to do what he did last night, he's the best two guard in the NBA. Forget it. Like, I don't know. He can play both the 2 and the 3. And his ability to – I don't remember him being a guy that could dunk on multiple people. I don't remember Klay playing that way. Mm-hmm. Klay was always a great shooter, and if he got an open run to the rim, he was going to rock. Okay, cool. I don't remember Klay Thompson dunking on multiple people.
Dunking on people? He wasn't known as a guy who put the ball on the floor, dude.
I mean, yeah. But if you look around the Western Conference, I mean, there's not a whole lot of twos that are better than Donovan Mitchell. Like,
yeah, there's not.
I mean, you got nothing.
And that's his problem, right? That's the core issue. Hey, I'm one of the best two guards in the league, and I'm not getting my respect. I
mean, I would put Devin ahead of him. I put Kawhi Leonard ahead of him. I'm trying to think if you look up and down the standings, especially in the West, he's better than anybody Memphis has got. Luka Doncic or Donovan Mitchell?
I would take Don. I hate Luka so much, dude. I don't like the way he plays the game. I just don't think Luka's a championship caliber player, and I think Don is, dude.
I think I take Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.